Perhaps a fairly pleasant surprise for Sisters of Battle collectors today. Seems they've got really quite a cool new centerpiece character type miniature, though unfortunately looks like there won't be any mainstream rules for her in the new codex, and there's a good chance the miniature doesn't stick around permanently in Games Workshop's range. Hello and welcome back to Auspex Tactics, where it seems like it's a busy week for the Sisters of Battle. The Defenders of the Emperor's Faith have their codex out at the weekend, and in the last couple of videos we took a look at the pricing for all their Battle Force releases and things like that, plus a few confirmations as to things staying or going within the codex, and the new detachment names. For actual miniature releases, we know we had the new Combat Patrol and Battle Force, and the new main miniature for the codex is the Jump Pack Canoness. She's going to be coming out in that Army of Faith box set before having an individual release a fair few weeks later. I think she's at least quite a fun miniature and a fairly useful one to add to the range, given that Sisters used to have that in the past, though I'm sure collectors were hoping for more. It does seem that Games Workshop have delivered a pretty cool miniature today though, perhaps slightly unexpectedly dropping on the Monday preview article, with this very fun new miniature apparently going to be coming out later in the year. According to the accompanying article, this one is a new miniature for a Black Library tie-in. Games Workshop do tend to dedicate a few sculpts of miniatures towards their novel series, though for the most part the miniature sculpts they do for them tend to be characters that are a bit more established in lore, ones that maybe already had a novel or two release and actually have a bit of a following and people who are genuinely invested in their backstory, as they've done with, say, lots of the Horus Heresy character series. But interestingly enough, this one's an entirely new character miniature, apparently named Celestian Sacresant Aveline, and it's going to be the protagonist of a book called Daemonbreaker by Jude Reed. That one's going to be coming up later in the year. I think its existence had been leaked out before already and had been spotted by a couple of people in the community, though it wasn't particularly well known. But it looks like this is the first official announcement by Games Workshop. I guess it is a bit of an interesting idea to hype up a character no one knows about yet, though I feel like the majority of Sisters players will just be interested in a very cool miniature in and of itself. I feel like a fair few of these Black Library tie-ins have been quite fun for delving into slightly more obscure sub-factions. Sister Aveline is apparently a member of the Sacred Rose, as befitted by the white armour and the big white rose iconography behind her head there. For lore things at the moment, we only know what's in the article. I'm sure there'll be far more in the book, but it sounded like the gist of it was that she's a Celestian Sacresant fighting on the front lines through Abaddon's 13th Black Crusade, and the primary action of the novel will be fighting on a shrine world en route to Cadia, where she's tasked to hunt down a Chaos Sorcerer. And just judging by the ever so subtle hints of the name of the book being Daemonbreaker and the model standing on a bloodletter's head, sounds like she's going to be tangling with some demons along the way. One cool lore touch to delve into the sub-faction a little bit is that apparently she carries the sacred sword of Saint Arabella, of the founder of the Sacred Rose, one of the original companions of Alicia Dominica, the founder of the Sisters of Battle, and known as the Liberator. Focusing on the model itself, I feel like it really is quite a cool little character diorama type miniature. An initial reaction on the internet seems to have been broadly very positive indeed. Certainly feels like it exemplifies a bunch of what the Sisters are about. Obviously the big and eye-catching thing is her relic sword bursting into flame and basically making the fleur-de-lis symbol of the Adepta Sorroitas. That's really quite a fun stylistic touch there. I feel like you might need to paint it kind of nicely to make it really stand out in the same way that they have there, but I guess having a darker dry brush around the edges could really make that pop. Otherwise, as mentioned, she is of the Order of the Sacred Rose. The White Armoured Order is the one that, if anything, takes the Faith of the Sororitas to the next level. Faith, prayer, and following the wisdom of the Emperor in every action that they do, believing themselves conduits of his divine will. Besides that, she's got a fancy Sacresant shield bearing a hand flamer in that same hand, two of the creepy Sisters of Battle cherubim flocking around, one of them carrying an incense censer, I think that is, the other one helping her out with some grenades there, and otherwise it is a particularly fancy looking Celestian Sacresant, particularly decked out even above the rest of them as a more cool central character type model. True to the novel's name, as mentioned, she is stomping a bloodletter's head into the dirt as well. Khorne's fury no match for the faith of the Sacred Rose apparently. Otherwise, there's a few more shots of the miniature. Her shield does look like a particularly fancy one, having the symbol of the Order once more and a Sister of Battle impaling a great beast on her sword there. Looks like she's got a head swap with a hooded head, and you can see some shots of the miniature from behind with the backpack and the Sacred Rose symbol. Looking at those trailing parchments from the cherubim, I was wondering if this miniature is the answer to this rumour engine that we saw earlier. I did think that it looked either Sisters of Battle or Blood Angels on the first look of it, and the parchment bits do look kind of similar, though I can't actually see the specific bits on any one of them. I guess we can't see every single parchment piece of it from every angle, so it could still be this miniature, or it might be that we've still got models to come, and this could be resculpted Blood Angels at some point. For 40k rules support, unfortunately, it looks like we've got no datasheet for the model in the Codex. It doesn't seem like she's going to be any sort of permanent addition to the Adepta Sororitas range. The unit list is already out and about from Games Workshop's teasers on Sunday. I covered that in the last video, and it means that your choice for fielding her will be via one of the other datasheets, maybe representing something like a Canoness or a Palatine with a Relic Blade. I think would be quite a good idea. And then you could have her leading a big squad of Celestian Sacresants into battle perhaps. For more casual games that won't be tournament ready, I think there's a reasonable chance that she might get some Legends rules at some point. They did that with Orc Warboss off-tack Blackhawk, and to me, for a sort of Black Library tie-in new miniature type thing, she does seem like she fits the same sort of bill as that. I expect the release to be kind of similar. Again, with off-tack, I feel like having such a cool miniature like this would have been very nice to have her actually with her own datasheet within the Codex. I don't think you'd get many complaints if you added her as a standard miniature within the Sister of Battle range, but it seems like it's not to be for the moment at least. Talking about the release, at the moment there's no release date given yet for the book or when the model would come out. I guess the model will be out alongside the book given that it's a tie-in type thing. In the article they merely said later in the year. I noticed on one of the sites that accidentally seemed to leak the existence of the book, they said it might be at sometime early October, though that could just be a placeholder. In any case, she's certainly not coming out alongside Codex Adepta Sororitas. At the very least, there's a fair few weeks to wait, and there could be several months given later in the year. For pricing, my guess would be £28, €35 or $45. That would be as per Games Workshop's Epic Hero standard prices, and that will be the same as Mr. Blackhawk who came out earlier. I feel like they're probably going to be kind of equivalent given the big base and the sort of diorama she's got going on. Generally, Games Workshop tend to charge more for those sort of editions, compared with, say, a standard Sisters of Battle support HQ. Unfortunately as well, I strongly suspect that she won't be around as a permanent edition as a miniature that you can just buy if you like the model. I'm not 100% sure on that. A few of the Black Library miniatures have stayed in stock after they came out, like that Captain Messinius, and some even got incorporated in codexes at a later date, like Uriel Ventris of the Ultramarines, but at least in the short term, like the Warboss, I suspect her to be here for a bit then gone. Off-tack Blackhawk's already removed from the Games Workshop web store despite not having been around for too long so far, so in the short term I'd expect a one and done type run. Though given that both of these will be pretty cool and pretty popular character miniatures, I'm sure they'll get some sort of future release at some stage, though it might just be things like made to order or special event type things. In any case, cool model overall I think. Let me know what your thoughts on the model are down in the comments below. I have a suspicion that a fair few Sisters players might well be looking to pick her up, just literally for being a particularly impressive character model, and certainly could represent things like a fancy Canoness or Palatine or similar. Feel free to subscribe to Auspex Tactics if you'd like to see more like this. I'll certainly keep the regular 40k videos coming and cover all the news about Sisters and Genestealer cults this week. I do tend to post 40k videos just about every day in general. Finally, if you have been enjoying all the videos on the channel, I would just like to mention that Auspex Tactics does have a Patreon page as well, and you can find that linked in the video description if you'd like to help support and keep these videos coming. Channel patrons do get a fair few advantages, seeing certain videos early, regular votes to see what sort of things happen next on the channel, and automatic entry into the regular prize giveaways with a chance to win some big model kits each month. The next one will be for the Army of Faith Sisters of Battle box set, or the Genestealer cults if you prefer that. In any case, a massive thank you for listening, and I'll hope to see you guys next time.